Throughout the book of Hebrews, the author, most likely Paul, is writing various examples of Old Testament patriarchs or people who were known and trusted in the faith of Judaism. And specifically in Hebrews chapter 3, he writes to the simple fact that Jesus is greater than Moses and goes on to expound on this concept. Now, what's interesting is similarly in John chapter 9 at the pool of Siloam, Jesus put mud over a blind man's eyes, told him to go and wash his eyes out, and the man was healed. And what was so interesting is that because this was on the Sabbath, the Pharisees got upset about it and started asking questions. And in John chapter 9, verse 28, it says, "Then they cursed him and said, 'You are his disciple.'" The Pharisees are talking to the man who was healed. They're asking him questions. They're interrogating him. And they're saying, "Tell us, who did this and what did he do?" And so the man gave a simple testimony, a simple witness about what the Lord had done. And in verse 28, it says, "Then they cursed him and said, 'You are his disciple,'" speaking of Jesus. "You are Jesus's disciple, but we are disciples of Moses. We know God spoke to Moses, but we don't even know where this man comes from." "Why, that's very strange," the man replied. "He healed my eyes, and yet you don't know where he comes from? You know that God doesn't listen to sinners, but he is ready to hear those who worship him and do his will. Ever since the world began, no one has been able to open the eyes of someone born blind. If this man were not from God, he couldn't have done it." You know how simple things can be, how profound this man's statement is. At the end of the day, Jesus comes and heals this man as a sign to say, "I am here on behalf of God. I'm doing something divine. I'm breaking the rules of nature, that this may be a sign to you that I am who I claim to be." And yet the Pharisees hardened their hearts and wouldn't accept this man's testimony, and they defaulted to Moses. So the writer of Hebrews is really expounding on this concept that, listen, all the patriarchs that we knew, Abraham, Jacob, Moses, etc., Jesus was greater than all of these. Jesus was higher than all of these. Jesus has more power and more authority than all of these patriarchs because those patriarchs were given their authority by Jesus himself. What a powerful thing this is. And in fact, I can't help but wonder how many people don't realize who Jesus really was. Who Jesus really was. You know, there's so much bad teaching out there, and my heart goes out to just people, everyday people, that if a person chooses to rebel against God actively once they've heard the gospel, that's between them and the Lord. But I would love to at least see the gospel fall upon their ears in a good representation, a good, accurate biblical manner, that they may have a shot at hearing the good news of Jesus and to be able to recognize who Jesus was, that he was greater than Moses, he was greater than Abraham, and he was the prophet spoken of in the book of Deuteronomy that would come from amongst the people, and that he would be sent by God to turn people to God. May the Lord bless you and keep you.